Can you remember the last proper sci-fi film, not connected to a famous IP and not a sequel or a prequel, that was a commercial and critical success? This isn't a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking. I'll give you a bit of time to think.
Dear Diary, something really weird happened. I guess it happens to a lot of guys. I was in bed and I found myself enjoying one of Susie Dent's books. I feel a bit embarrassed and ashamed. It was full of fascinating facts and she's a wonderful writer, but I've been slagging off her books for years. Maybe I should apologise and say something nice, but it's probably too late now. I'll think about it. Susie, I just want to say in front of everyone, your books are shit.
The last straightforward sci-fi success, not a sci-fi horror mashup or a monster flick, but just a pretty straight down the line sci-fi, was 2022's Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was 4 years ago. And while that might not seem that long ago, consider that from the year 2000 to 2004, we got the following sci-fi films: Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report, Signs, and Primer. I should note here that I genuinely picked this as a random 4-year period from a better era of cinema. I could have just as easily started with the 90s and went from, let's say, 1995 to 1999, which would have included films like Contact, The Matrix, Independence Day, The Fifth Element, The Faculty, Starship Troopers, and a load more that I've neglected to mention, given that they're more genre mashup style films like Event Horizon or Men in Black. So what does the comparator list from 2022 to 2026 look like? Well, we already know Everything Everywhere All at Once, and even that, to be honest, is a stretch given that it's sort of a genre mashup. But the other ones we know are The Adam Project, one of the most boring films I've ever seen, but apparently was widely watched on Netflix, The Creator, which was a massive financial and critical flop, and finally, Mickey 17, which also lost a ton of money. And we're also currently experiencing the long-anticipated return to alien sci-fi of Steven Spielberg, with his most recent release, Disclosure Day. But I think it's pretty safe to say it's not going so well. If we put these film rosters side by side, I know which ones I'd rather be spending my money on right now. In a previous video, we covered Project Hail Mary's potential impact on the meta-environment of Hollywood. And I argued that we need to support films like this if we're going to have any chance of reclaiming any semblance of the old Hollywood. Be sure to check out that video if you're interested. But in this video, we're going to provide a mini review of the film itself. So let's get into it.
Well, all right, let's do it!
Project Hail Mary is based on the best-selling book of Andy Weir, who also wrote The Martian, and was co-directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, who co-wrote Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and directed 21 and 22 Jump Street. The book was adapted into a screenplay by Drew Goddard, who wrote the single best episodes in the final seasons of both Buffy the Vampire Slayer and its spin-off, Angel. He directed and co-wrote one of the best horror comedies of all time, in my opinion, in Cabin in the Woods, and created easily one of the best MCU adaptations in Netflix's Daredevil. It's safe to say that Project Hail Mary was always in good hands, and this is due to the ways in which these filmmakers treat the material they're working with, whether it be their own creation or a pre-existing, long-standing IP. But we'll come back to this point in due course. First, let's run through a very quick, spoiler-free plot summary of Project Hail Mary. And the reason I'm going spoiler-free, despite the film now being on video on demand, is because for those who haven't already seen the film, I don't want to spoil anything at all. And if you are one of those people, I really do urge you to watch it whenever you can. Much like Weir's previous smash hit, The Martian, Project Hail Mary also centres around a lone, stranded astronaut who must rely on his own wits, ingenuity and will to survive. But unlike Matt Damon's protagonist who must toil in isolation, Ryan Gosling's Ryland encounters another lost soul who is just as alone as he is, and so the two team up in order to face the cold emptiness of space together. This pairing sparks an unlikely friendship which offers story and character dimensions not found in The Martian, and which allows us, the audience, to invest in something other than the mere survival elements of the plot. And ultimately, this is where the writer and co-directors really shine. We know from their previous works that they're capable of both drama and humour, But Goddard in particular is an absolute master at intertwining competing genres and emotions, twisting humour around high-tension drama, and producing an outcome which not only doesn't diminish either, but which actually enhances both. This is an exceptionally difficult thing to pull off, but the team here pulls it off almost at will. And this is no happy accident. As already alluded, Goddard is one of my favourite filmmakers in Hollywood, and one of the reasons for this is his clear passion and dedication to his work. Just listen to this interview with him and Joss Whedon during the press tour for Cabin in the Woods.
Did Scream influence you guys at all? Or?
I'm definitely a fan.
Yeah, I love Scream.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. You felt like the people making Scream loved horror movies, and I think that was the most important thing. You can feel it when people do not love the subject matter they are dealing in.
While Goddard is clearly laid back in his demeanour, this was clearly a passion project for them, and one which they actually wrote in just 3 days. They locked themselves in a hotel room and vowed not to leave or even to discuss anything else other than the film until they'd finished the first draft. And that's exactly what they did.
That was kind of exactly it. We got a couple of rooms in a bungalow and in a hotel, and literally spend the morning breaking an act, splitting it up. I go downstairs, he'd go upstairs, clackety 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 clack. I'd come up. Well, what about this? Oh yeah, I'll do that. Set that up. Thank you. It was extraordinary. Actually, it was like being half of a brain. Wait, I just said it was like being half of a brain. It makes it sound like I'm feeble-minded.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
This clear love of the game also comes across in his work on IPs that are not his own, and that he hasn't even gotten the chance to work on yet.
I have one selfish question I wanted to ask you for over 12 years. I literally read comics for a living. I'm DC's comic correspondent.
Yes.
I have all but 16 Spider-Man comics in the world, every run, every title, everything ever. I have 16,000 Spidey and X-Men. I'm almost complete since 1964.
Okay.
I wanted to know...
I'm so excited for this question.
Any bit of what the Sinister Six idea was to be.
Great.
Anything you can say.
Okay, yes. I will say, because who cares? I wanted it to feel like a summer annual, because I feel like I'm tired. I'm tired of serialization in comic book movies. I get the important part, but I was like, what I loved was the summer annual, where you had the ongoing, but then every summer you would get one story that was bananas.
Yeah.
Right? That was just bananas.
3 times the price, worth it.
Yes, that's right. And I said when I pitched it, I was like, no, give me, I'm not going to screw up anyone's continuity, but I want to feel like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, that was the feeling that I want to get. I still haven't seen anyone capture that.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving up. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
I've been waiting
because I'm
years.
not giving up. I got to get a summer annual.
And I
That's
heard
great.
the villain perspective was the goal versus protagonist. Like,
Well, yeah, and it was a Spider-Man movie. That's the other thing. I'll tell you. It was a Spider-Man was in the movie. But it was a different approach.
one day, man. In a multiverse, I look forward to seeing it. I love your work, and thank you for being a real nerd.
This was a joy.
Really appreciate
Hopefully we
it.
get to do it again.
Yeah.
Now let's compare this to, well, I don't know, the filmmakers of some of the most recent entries in the MCU, which weren't exactly received all that well.
Fair and equal representation on film is incredibly important. So many different women and girls and boys and men will be able to relate to them.
Like many women around the world watched Avengers Endgame and had that 6 seconds of all the Marvel women together. And I once had like chills, but I also was very annoyed. I was like, 2 hours of this, please.
You also co-wrote the script for the movie, and I loved that a lot of the characters aren't directly pulled sort of whole cloth from the comics. Like Kingo isn't a samurai, Ajax a guy in the books, Sprite is a young boy. Why was it important to you to diversify the cast and sort of remake the Eternals in your vision?
I gave that credit to Nate Moore, Kevin Feige, people at Marvel, and also Furples, who wrote the initial treatment with them, Kaz and Ryan Furple. Because when I came into the process, the treatment was written, and when I read it, these changes were made already, and I was very impressed. They weren't just random changes. They were changes. It was very specific that the leader of Eternals was the mother. So I think they were very smart about it. Yeah. And I think I believe what they said, and that I believe we just wanted these heroes who's been here since the dawn of civilization look like the world.
I think even the trolls realize that by being nasty and negative, they're playing right into our hands, thereby proving that we are intelligent, which is the thing they don't want to admit that we ladies are. And It's kind of fun, you know?
I was not a comic reader, so I sort of came to them late. And on this project, I very much relied on my producer, Mary Lavanos, to be the sort of comic whisperer to me. She would like text me a cell to like be like, it's like this kind of thing. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, I get it. And sometimes I'd be like, that's Greek to me. I need you to explain it to my face.
You can feel it when people do not love the subject matter they are dealing in.
The difference here is absolutely night and day. For Goddard, his passion is about bringing the stories and the characters to life, whether they be his own or someone else's. For the other filmmakers, it's about their own personal socio-political fixations. It's not about creating a story or characters for people to love. It's about how can I push my opinions on the audience, even when they're completely irrelevant to the characters and the plot. And I bring this up because it has a massive impact, not only on Hollywood as a whole, but also as it relates specifically to Project Hail Mary. Just like in The Martian, Project Hail Mary isn't absent messages or themes. There's probably not a film that is. But there's absolutely a difference between the kind of universalist messaging embedded in films like Project Hail Mary, such as that about human ingenuity, friendship, and the triumph of the human spirit, and the kind of messaging we've all come to know and loathe, which is small, esoteric, and highly divisive, and which the critical drinker succinctly denotes as
The message.
I'm going to be talking more about this difference in a future dedicated video, so if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover, please do let me know in the comments. But for now, if you want less of
The message.
and more of thematic through lines which can be appreciated by anyone and everyone regardless of demographic or affiliation, then as I mentioned earlier, please be sure to give Project Hail Mary a watch. It's currently on Amazon Prime, and if we want more films like this in the future, and I think most of us do, we really need to support the ones we already have. With all that said, let's get to some quick spoiler-free ratings to round off this review proper. First, the plot. Although there are a couple of issues plot-wise, particularly relating to a lack of setup in Act 1 for an important revelation in Act 3, the plot is still interesting and enjoyable enough to keep you captivated throughout. 7.5 out of 10. Similarly, the world building, while not perfect, is laid out well and with no wasted time. The very first flashback sets the scene perfectly, and the world and its issues do genuinely feel lived in. 8 out of 10. The dialogue is compelling, at times funny, and at times heartfelt. 9 out of 10. The characters are limited in number, as is typical in these stranded hero stories, but this leaves even more room for talented writers to flesh out their protagonists and their relationships, which is achieved here with style. 8 out of 10. Just like The Martian and Castaway before it, Project Hail Mary stands on the performance of its lead and virtually sole actor. And just like Damon and Hanks, Gosling knocks it out the park. 9 out of 10. The direction was solid with great pacing and framing. Despite being a 2.5 hour long film with only 3 characters, it genuinely flies by. 8 out of 10. Finally, for the genre-specific elements of the rating, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, Project Hail Mary is one of the rare sci-fi films in the modern era of cinema and is easily one of the best sci-fi films of the past 15 years. 9 out of 10. Overall, Project Hail Mary is a top film and a much appreciated addition to the almost completely neglected genre of sci-fi, and ends with an overall score of 8.4 out of 10. Honestly, be sure to watch it. If you like this video in any way, shape or form, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. See you in the next video. Ta-ra.